Nearly half a year after it burst onto the scene, the Citroen C3 Aircross is back again, and this time with a much needed value addition. Yes, we're talking about an automatic gearbox that's finally debuting for Citroen's budget range. Today, while the gearbox will be the hero of this video, we're also going to look at the nitty-gritties of the C3 Aircross by telling you 5 things that we like about the Citroen C3 Aircross and 2 things that we think Citroen could work on with this car. This automatic Citroen C3 Aircross makes use of the same 1.2 litre turbo petrol engine that's there in the manual, but there where it's mated to a 6-speed manual, here you get a 6-speed torque converter automatic. There's a bump in torque, so you get 109 bhp, but you get 205 Nm of torque as compared to the manual's 190 Nm, and you can really feel a sort of difference with the additional bump of torque. I mean, you do need a little extra. It's an automatic, right? Torque converter automatic. So the extra bump always helps. Now, the 1.2 litre petrol engine as a whole is very tractable. It's very lively to use, right? Just if I gas the throttle even mildly, it just picks up speed and gets going. So you're never short of motivation, never short of speed. You can get going quickly. And the automatic just makes things convenient. It's an automatic, so you're never going to stall the car. You don't have to worry about shifting everything. Gearboxes themselves are pretty intelligent these days, and this thing is quite smart in that way that if you leave it to do its thing in the background, it'll keep going, right? But because we are here to understand this gearbox, we're going to answer a few questions about it as we drive along, pertinent stuff that you would be looking for when you're getting into a gearbox. We've already spoken about tractability. Next thing is that, is there a manual intervention on the gearbox? Yes, there is. So you don't get paddle shifters. I mean, obviously, Citroen could have added it, but it would have upped the cost, and I think that's something they wanted to keep in control. So you do get manual intervention. You get a manual mode here, and it's pretty effective. You go forward for minus, where it drops the gears, and you pull back for plus. But because the engine needs to protect itself and also not let you do something crazy like be in too high a speed for too low a gear or the other way around, it won't let you shift up or down if you're not matching the right speed or RPM. So there is manual intervention. It is effective, especially if you need a heavy dose of engine braking and you're going hard on the brakes. This does help a lot, and it does give you that sense of control. But like we said, the gearbox is intelligent, right? If you leave it to do its thing in the background, it will speed up and slow down without any issue. Oh, and by the way, if you need to get into 6th gear, it will only allow you to shift up to 6th gear after a certain speed so that you're able to maintain the right amount of RPMs. One of the important functions in an automatic transmission is to make your life easier in bumper-to-bumper traffic. I mean, if you have 2 pedals, then your driving experience should be easier. And one of the features that's commonly available in a lot of cars these days, actually, make it most of it automatic vehicles, is a creep function. Now, what is the creep function? It essentially means that when I put this car into D and I take my foot off the brake, the car will roll on its own. This is beneficial when you have bumper to bumper traffic and you just need to inch just little bit or in increments so that you keep up with the traffic. Now I'm going to demonstrate the creep function in this car. So I'm putting it into D. The car has come on, and I'm going to take the handbrake off and take my foot off the brake, and now the car starts to roll on its own. 4, 5, 6, 7 kmph, 8 kmph, it's rolling on its own, and this is essentially in bumper to bumper traffic. So when the next car comes along, all I have to do is just press the brake and put it back into neutral, right? And pop the handbrake. Then once I'm done, I just put it back into D and it's rolling again. Another place where this C3 Aircross manages to shine is in the ride quality department, right? And that's, I think, something that French are very good at, figuring out ride quality. It might feel that it's slightly on the firmer side, but that does well to give a good handling characteristic to the car. 1, 2, it just takes everything in a sort of flat manner, right? You can go bad roads, good roads. It's kind of uneven concrete that the Mumbai Pune Express has. It's just riding it flat, taking it chakachak the whole way without any problems, and that's something that's really beneficial. This is a car that will shine when the going gets really rough. Now we've got off the highway and got into city conditions, and as you can see in the background, it's a single lane road. There are vehicles parked on each side, which means that you can't really go fast as such. And this is a city condition, and at these speeds, car is doing equally well. The engine is still very tractable. Even at just part throttle, I'm able to keep going. And because this is an automatic gearbox, you don't have to worry about stalling the vehicle in any form. It'll just keep going without much of a struggle, right? And in the ride quality department, it's riding everything flat out like it did on the highway, which means that you don't have to again take your foot off the gas when you have potholes or when you have really deep ruts, because this will keep going without sending much back into the cabin, without really affecting the occupants inside. And that again, that's something that French automakers have been able to figure out really well, and this would do good in adding to the car's overall dynamic image. We are here in the front row of the Citroen C3 Aircross, and you can notice that both the manual and the automatic get exactly the same layout, given that the automatic is actually a variant of the car. This top spec Max variant that we're sitting in gets a digital instrument cluster and a 10.25 inch for the infotainment system. The UI on the infotainment system is extremely basic, like so much so that it encourages you to connect your phone either by wire or wireless and switch to phone mirroring, either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Really, really basic, and I think that is a given thing given the budget of this car. You do get connected car technology with this, with some remote functions like you can control the AC and a few other things. Other than this, the interiors are actually, they don't feel all that great. I mean, they're functional, yes, and it does look pleasant. Beige always does that job. But the interior quality feels at least one segment lower, especially when you look at some of the non-contact surfaces like the door and maybe bits top of the dashboard. Even this textured pattern, it looks nice, but when you touch it, it does feel like hard wearing plastic. What is nice though are this design of this air vents, and one thing that you'll notice that's a glaring miss that has been pointed out before is that this has an air conditioning system and not climate control, which is something that Citroen really needs to fix, because even cars lower down than this, at least 2-3 lakhs lower down than this, all offer climate control systems. The second row is a slightly better story. You get roof-mounted air vents with a fan speed control. You get 2 USB charging ports, but space is not all that great given that the car is not exactly all that wide. 2 people sit very comfortably. Third one gonna have a tough time. We are here in the thing that puts the Aircross in C3 Aircross, which is an optional third row. Citroen themselves call it a 5+2, which means that your third row exists because it's a third row. It's a 3-row vehicle, right? And you can see that with this seat down and this seat up, even then, the space is really less, right? And the seat base is like super low, which means that you're more or less just sitting that much away from the ground. You're also pretty close to the rear glass. Now, think of it this way. It's the difference between if you want to take 2 more people on the journey that you're going for, it's the difference between having to take a second vehicle and having space for them to go with you. This row is best suited to children or adults for short journeys, but think of it more as a 5+2. Now with these seats removed, the boot space goes up to 511 liters. Yes, you can remove them. And with these seats removed, yes, you can remove them too. The boot space goes up to a massive 839 liters, giving it almost cargo van-like capacity. The Citroen C3 Aircross is a large car and quite practical for its pricing, but its feature list is missing quite a few feel-good features. This top spec plus variant that we have in our video gets a digital instrument cluster, AC vents for all 3 rows, a wireless phone mirroring via a 10.25-inch display, connected car technology, height adjustment for the driver's seat and steering. As compared to the cars above and below it, It does not get climate control, wireless charger, ambient lighting, ventilated seats, 360-degree camera, level 1 ADAS, head-up display, sunroof, window blinds, and even a button start. These are not even available as optional extras in the various packs, which would be fine if your competition wasn't so loaded and fiercely priced that you stand out really hard on this front. Citroen is still a relatively young brand in India, having been around for just close to 4 years, and has been taking the market with caution, especially with regard to expansion of showrooms and service centers. It's opened showrooms in many Tier 1, Tier 2 and Tier 3 locations, but still has a long way to go when you look at companies like Maruti, Hyundai, Mahindra, Tata and even Kia, all of whom have 500 plus showrooms across the country and are all established players in their respective segment. After all, buying the vehicle is only 40% of the experience. The ownership experience counts for the other 60%. We've had some time with the Citroen C3 Aircross Automatic, and here's what we learned. Now, as a car to drive, it's a pretty competent product. The 1.2-litre turbo petrol engine has oodles of punch, and now with this automatic gearbox, that's a great value addition. The gearbox is pretty smart that way, that you can leave it to do its thing in the background and it'll keep you going. You do get manual intervention, but if you just want to use it to commute or drive without really getting too involved, then it's good enough for that. As a car to drive, it's great feel from the steering and the ride quality is really nice. But on the flip side, the interiors aren't that great. Some of the quality of the plastics used feel at least one segment down, and it's missing out on a ton of feel-good features, something that's been pointed out right from the beginning and something that Citroen is expected to address in the coming months. The other thing is, of course, the third row, one of the USPs of the car. Now, the third row is not really usable as such for long distances and best suited to kids. But if you look at it, the way Citroen has marketed it, they've called it a 5+2, which means that you have a third row. That's the difference between having to take a second vehicle for 2 more people or having for them to come in some other manner. The third row is, of course, removable, expanding the boot space from 43 to 511 liters. And then you can even remove the second row, expanding the boot space even further to 839 liters, and that's massive by any standard. Coming to the prices, Citroen has launched the C3 Aircross automatic range in India with a starting price of Rs 12.85 lakh going all the way to Rs 13.85 lakh. You can have it in the Plus and Max variant, where the Plus only gets it with a 5-seat option. The prices are pretty decent, and someone who is looking to buy a mid-size SUV on a budget can consider this vehicle. The other thing that we think Citroen needs to work on is its after-sales and support. Now, if you look at the cars around the C3 Aircross in similar pricing both above and below, you have companies like Maruti Suzuki, Hyundai, Kia, Mahindra, Tata, all very well established players with a large number of sales and service centers in Tier 1, Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Citroen is slowly expanding, but will take more time to catch up with them, and perhaps that is something you should consider when looking at cars like the Citroen C3 Aircross. What do you think of the Citroen C3 Aircross? Do let us know in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Carwale YouTube channel and hit that bell icon to be notified the instant we put out a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.